Today we're going to have a look at Ableton Live 12. So please find an app called Ableton Live 12 on your computer. It's probably in the software folder, and open it. Make sure your software is authorized. If it's not authorized, get in touch with your teacher and they will be able to help you. Let's now go to the options section to make sure that everything is ready for you to use this software. I am using a Mac computer at the moment, so some of the layout might be slightly different, but the principle is exactly the same. You go on Options and make sure that the audio engine has a tick next to it. If it doesn't, click on it until you see the tick next to the audio engine on. Now click on Options, Settings, or type Ctrl+ to access this page. And you should see the sound card that you're using, and in school at the moment you're using a UMC 202 HD. Similarly, on the audio output device, put the same card so that every sound going in and out of the software is going through the sound card that you have there. Make sure that the sample rate in and out is 44,100. Also check the input buffer size and move it all the way to something larger than 2,500. Same for the output buffer, make sure it's the same size. That will help your computer to process the sound samples at the right speed. If you see that the computer is struggling with sound quality and you hear a crackling sound, try to make the buffer size larger. That will help the computer. When you hover different parts of the screen, you should be able to see what you're hovering on in the info box view, which is down here in this corner. That is extremely useful, so if you're ever in trouble, remember that this part of the screen will constantly tell you what is that you're hovering over. In case you cannot see this box, you can go to the View options and you will find what is called the info box. On the right hand side, you should see the half view box with information on Ableton Live, and you will find a lot of links pointing you towards tutorials that are extremely useful in case you want to expand some of your understanding. Let's have a look at the different areas on your screen. On the top left hand side here, you've got the tempo area. And everything relating to tempo, which means time, is in this corner. That means that you can change the speed of your beat, you can work on your metronome, you can change, modify, edit the time signature and everything that is tempo related. In the area next to it, this one, the key area, so the key signature. You can change the key of your composition to major, minor, and all the different possibilities that Ableton Live is offering you. Next to it, you have the navigation area, which is the area where you will find play, stop, and record. You also have this little screen telling you what bar and what beat you're at the moment. On the top right-hand side, you have some project setting information. For example, how to set up a MIDI and your MIDI signal coming in and out, your sample rate, which you already set up, and how much of your computer processor is being used at the moment. These two little squares that you find with vertical lines and horizontal line will help you transitioning from the arranger view to the session view. These two different views will come very, very handy later on. This will show you links to tutorials and information, further information on how to use Ableton Live. In this area, you will find the clip content editor, which means that whatever clip you decide to click on is going to appear in this bottom part of the screen for you to edit and modify according to your needs. The little corner that we already mentioned is the info view. This side of the screen will show you the different sounds and effects available. On this part of the screen here, you can press on S button to put track, solo. Solo means alone. When this is pressed, this blue button is on. It means that you will only hear the track. For example, let's have a look right now. If I'm putting my header here and I press play, we will only hear the drum part. The same can be applied to any other track. So S stands for solo, will mute everything else and will only play the track you decide to solo. Remember that if you solo a track that has no sound in the spot you're listening to, obviously no sound will come out. So make sure that when you press solo, you have your track on a part that has something playing in the background. Otherwise, you won't hear anything. Now let's have a look at some more commands. If I go on the drums track and I press on this little triangle here, the track will show some of its components. You can click on the blue box where the level of this track is displayed, and you can click on it and drag it up and down to raise the volume or lower the volume. If you click on it twice, it's going to go back to 0. You can do this with any other track. If you open it and you click on this bar, blue bar, you can raise or lower the volume, and you will see that the volume on the mixer view will also be changed. Similarly, if you go on the C, which stands for central, and you drag with your mouse up and down, you can change the panning of this signal. It means that this signal will go more on the right hand side or more on the left hand side. You can have it completely to the left, completely to the right, exhale in the middle, and everything else in between. Once again, to put it back to central, you click on it twice. If you want to mute a track, you can also press on this orange triangle and the track will go gray, meaning that that track does not play at that moment. Remember that if this box is gray and you press solo on it, you are disabling the track and putting it on solo at the same time, which means that you will hear absolutely no sound. So when the solo is on, make sure that the track is also activated. Now open the track called Moody Piece. So if you hover over the numbers, you will see that you have a magnifying glass. If you click on it, you can drag left and right to navigate the project. You can also drag up and down to zoom in and zoom out. Now have a look at these tracks. The first 4 are MIDI tracks, while the 5th one is an audio track. A MIDI track is a track that contains information that will allow the computer to play the notes you want. Typically, you will choose the type of sound you want to hear. The computer will activate the sounds you want at the intensity, also called velocity, you want. In a MIDI track, you can change any notes, duration, pitch, velocity, and so on. On the other hand, an audio track is a track that has been recorded using a microphone or an audio device. The audio track, as you can see, shows the waveform of the sound you have recorded. You can modify many aspects of the audio file, but you cannot change the pitch, velocity, or duration of each note as easily as with a MIDI file. It's way more complex. Now double-click on the track that is called 6 Bongos 121, which is the last track here. You will see that in the clip editing area, in the bottom part of the screen, there will be a window showing the waveform of the audio file. Click on the triangle in the bottom right corner of the screen next to the name of the track, down here. What you see opening in the bottom part of the screen is the area where the effects are displayed. In this case, we have a reverb called Small Hole. To deactivate or activate the effect, click on the yellow-gray button in the top left corner of the reverb. Now let's listen to this track without reverb first. I will mute this track, put it on solo, and let's listen to it. Now let's add the effect called Reverb Small Hole. Let's listen to it. Can you hear the difference? So what we added to this sound signal that you have in front of you is this effect that is giving you the impression that the bongos are going to be played in a large environment, in a hall. Immediately under the numbers, you will see this bar that you can actually move around. Let's just cover the whole area of the bongo section. And now let's press this square here until it's yellow. And that means that this section is going to be looped over and over again. By the time your playhead reaches the end of this section, it's going to start again from the top. The track is soloed. Let's now press play. We can change the amount of the effect on the original signal. So what you see here is the clean sound of bongos. Let's listen to it again. When we add the effect to it, we can decide how much of the effect is going to be influencing this sample that we just played. And that happens with this knob here, which is dry and wet. Now, wet 100% means that a lot of effect is going to go in. 0% means that essentially the effect is not applied at all on the track. So let's listen to it. I'm going to press play and I'm going to increase the amount of effect over the sample. Now you can add any other effect after this effect on this side of the screen. For example, you can decide to add this other effect to it. Remember that the sound that this effect is going to work on is a sound that has gone from the original signal here through this effect and then into the next one. So I recommend not mixing too many effects all at once, otherwise your signal is going to be barely recognizable. If you want to get rid of an effect, click on it like this and then press backspace to get rid of it. Let's now try to edit a MIDI file. Now unmute the bongo part that we worked on a minute ago. Double click on the track called Basic OG. In the edit area, you will see the MIDI notes that the computer will play for you. The MIDI region of this track only lasts to bar 34. If you hover over the end of this MIDI region, you will see this bracket, and you can pull the bracket all the way to bar 48. This will extend the MIDI region all the way to the end of our loop. In the edit area, now take the last note of this track, which would be this one. Hover over it until you see the bracket and pull it all the way to the end of this section. That means that the note that used to just last one bar, as you can see here, is now lasting a long time. Now listen to the results. So this note is now lasting, as you can see, a long time. If you click on any other region, you can see all the notes that I played for you. You can adapt the size of the screen to whatever work you're doing. Remember that you can extend the regions as much as you like or shrink them. And you can highlight any note, change the duration, length, pitch, or velocity, which is how loud or quiet things are. Now experiment with that, have fun with it, see how far you can get. You can change the drum part, you can change the bass part. These little signs here will tell you how loud a note is going to be, 127 being the loudest possible and 1 being the quietest possible. So you can change the volume of each note, you can change the length of each note, you can change the pitch of each note. Experiment with this, have fun with this project. At the end of it, make sure that you save a version of this if you want to save it. You can go to File, save live set as, and you can put your name on it to make sure you can find it back.